All right, I'm back at it on another overnight outing. I got up to the first turn on the trail. I set up a repeater over on that hill the first time I set up my lunchbox repeater. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my radio with me to test it right away, and for some reason, the Roger beep on the receiving radio is turned on. So it just gets stuck in an infinite loop for about a minute. So it's completely unusable, and I don't feel like hiking all the way back over there to fix it right now. I'm just gonna pick it back up tomorrow. Yeah, that's how my hike's starting so far. So I can never judge how long a trail really is with Gaia maps. This is a very flat trail, and it looks just as long as any other trail I've hiked that's about 4 miles long. But Gaia maps was saying it was only half a mile. And I was calling BS on that, so I'm like, well, it's got to be at least a mile, but it's actually right this time. It's about half a mile. If I would have done the trail that I wanted to, I would just end up on that little peak over there, but that's way too short. So I'm gonna keep going down the Arizona Trail and try to find, there's another peak, like maybe a mile or two down this trail, but it's pretty smooth sailing. It's all completely flat. I've been watching the weather for the past 2 days. Tomorrow, it was originally a 40% chance of rain at noon, and it kept kind of shifting back and forth. But at one point, the chance of rain started at 1% at about 6 a.m. and tapered up till noon. And it was kind of sketchy. I definitely have to pack up before sunrise, enjoy the sunrise, and then head back after that. But it's kind of tapered down to 30% chance of rain, and the 1% starts tapering up at like 9 a.m. So I'm gonna hike about maybe an hour or two in, so that way I know at about 7 or 8 I can get back to my bike before it starts to sprinkle, because there's a lot of basins on this trail, and I don't want to get caught in the middle of a rainstorm. Yeah, this is definitely a dangerous trail during the rainy season. There's a good portion of it that's just all basin. There's also a child playing with the radio. But this whole trail used to be a prison camp during World War II. So there's the remains of what looks like a truck bed. All the wood's degraded away, and there's foundations and stuff all along this trail. It's kind of neat. Also kind of sad knowing that it was a Japanese internment camp. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I also forgot my Apple Watch on the charger, so I can't get a true GPS length reading on this trail. It's a really neat trail, though. It's a lot more calm than some of the other ones I've been on recently. Well, I made it to the ridge, and I am in a fork in the road, in a choice. I can either take the long route, which goes to a 5,700 foot peak just behind that one, or I take the shorter route and be done and play it safe tomorrow with the rain, and I end up on the edge of that hill over there. I'm only about 40 minutes in, so I think I might take the long peak, and that gives me an easy hour on the way back, because I'm hiking an hour uphill, so the rest should be downhill. I could probably get back in like 45 minutes tomorrow. I am so far away from the road. Obviously, that's not the road I came from, but that is, I think that's the Sky Island Highway or whatever. It's so far away. This is 15 times. That's 5 times. That's about the scale it looks like with my eyes. And here is 1 times with the iPhone camera. Obviously, this doesn't look like the same scale as my eyes because it's a really short focal length. But I took the long fork, and I'm about halfway there. This is all just straight uphill, but once I get to the top, or right around this, to the right of this ridge, it should be smooth sailing from there. So I thought that last portion was straight uphill, but this is literally like 45 degrees uphill. If it wasn't for trekking poles, I wouldn't have any kind of grip coming up this hill. So this final stretch until the ridge line is kind of a grueling I think I last recorded somewhere down there. It just keeps getting steeper. That, I think, is the parking lot where I first started. I can actually see it from here. I should be able to hit my repeater from here too. It's not that far above it. That's kind of what it looks like from my perspective. And that's where I'm at. Well, I got to the ridge line, and it's actually kind of cool. I can see. I can see all of Tucson from here. I think someone's trying to hail me. Well, I'm not to the peak that's on the map, but I think this is where I want to set up camp for the night. It's a great location. I found an area down in there that's actually perfectly flat, and there's a slight breeze up here, but there's absolutely no breeze down there. It's kind of cradled between the rocks, so I shouldn't have the same problem as last time if the wind decides to pick up. Or if it does, it should at least be low enough that I can easily pack my stuff up and hike back. But yeah, I think it's time to stop and set up. I think Gaia GPS just told me 1.5 miles, which it's been way more than 1.5 miles. I don't have my Apple Watch with me, but every time I've had my Apple Watch, it's told me about twice the distance that Gaia GPS says. So I think I'm about 3 miles in, about an hour. Well, I don't know. I definitely wasn't hiking 3 miles an hour. Maybe like somewhere between 1.5 miles and 2 miles. So I've been checking the weather for the past 2 days, like I said earlier, and it started at 40%. It slowly tapered down to 30%. Now it's at 50%. Luckily, it's still at noon, and 10% doesn't start until about 8 a.m. And I could be pretty much halfway back by then. So I don't think I'll still get stuck in the rain. But yeah, it's just crazy how the weather works. It was slowly fading away, and now all of a sudden it's coming back. And I hope it doesn't get worse overnight again. But this is the flat spot that I chose for camping. Mostly just because there's no breeze down here whatsoever, and I don't want to get caught like last time. And it's also very flat, so it won't be like the time before that where I was on a hill and constantly sliding downhill. So yeah, we'll be back in a minute. There's someone asking stupid questions on the radio right now. But there's a trail down there. I don't know if you could see it. I saw someone down there a minute ago. But just over that ridge is where my repeater's at. And I can key it. Oh, they're talking right now. I'll be back in a second. I can key it and it beeps, but I can't hear my voice through it. So I don't know what's going on. The Roger beep comes through clear as day, but nothing else. I changed the channel on one of my monitors. So I'm going to key it just to show you what's going on. Watch it not work now that I'm recording it. Let me turn the volume up. So I went to turn the volume up just for this video example, and I realized the receive light was going on. And what that usually means. All right, so all the repeaters today seem to be super busy, which gets me to my point. I went to turn the volume up, and the receive light was going crazy. So I opened up the squelch, and there's a repeater on the same exact frequency that my repeater's on. So I got to end all testing after this because they're having actual conversations, which is why I can get the Roger beep through, but I can't hear my voice. It just gets all sputtery, static. So I'm going to test it for you one time. Key it. And there it goes. See the squelch opens up on these radios for a split second. Yeah, so the repeater works. It's just all the repeaters on this mountain. There's like 2 at least on 2 meter, and at least 2 on 70 centimeter, and 1 on GRMS on this mountain alone that are active. And they are all active, and they all just happen to be slightly offset and the same as my frequencies. I cleared the channel before I set it up, but things change. So yeah, I can't use my lunchbox channel 2 anymore. That's good to know. So everybody always jokes about these radios coming with wrist straps, and I joke about being a wrist strap aficionado, but there is some seriousness behind that. So most belt clips are like L-shaped, and they can easily come undone, come off. These are actually U-shaped, but they're quick disconnects, and sometimes when I set my bag down, they disconnect, or even if I bump something, they'll disconnect, or on my strap to my bike, they'll disconnect. So I got a tiny little super light duty carabiner clip, and they're great with wrist straps because it is a secure point that if the radio comes unclipped and the antenna can slip out of that buckle, it's at least dangling there and you don't lose your radio. As far as dropping it goes, I mean, I have dropped one and it landed right on the screen and killed it. But yeah, that is my main use for wrist straps. And my cell phone actually has two, just because there's two spots for it, and I clip it across the chest strap, so then it's just kind of dangling there, ready to go. Of course, now it starts wobbling because a little breeze came through. Also, if you wanted to record video like this without bringing a tripod, 2 wrist straps connected to 2 branches, and you got yourself a first-person camera. Pretty useful. As lame as it looks 95% of the time when I'm not actually using it. Since the last time I got the new Thermarest mat, that sounds like a bag of potato chips, because it's a really good winter weight one, and it's also pretty decent at summer weight. And then because my old mat had a sponge pump in it, it was basically a little 2-valve pump that had a sponge as the spring-loaded piston or whatever. It took forever to set up, so I have this thing now, and it should set it up in about like a minute. It's still kind of slow, but it's better than breathing into it and putting all that humidity inside that never leaves. Oops. So there's the setup so far. Also, since last time, I got some down booties. They're very cheap down. Somebody said they're not down, but they take forever to get back to form, just like down does. So I think it's just a really low grade down, which is fine. I also got a new pillow, the down inflatable Thermarest pillow. It actually fits inside the hood now. That was the biggest change. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of places to stake down over here, but I don't think I'm going to be expecting wind. Hopefully not. The best part about hiking is knowing that I've been on that peak way out there in that distance before. I don't know, it's just kind of cool to me. I haven't hiked it, but I have driven up to that peak and camped there for a very long weekend. So I still got like another 40 minutes till sunrise, at least what the weather says, and about an hour till sunrise. It started off and on sprinkling, so I got to hightail it out of here. It wasn't supposed to start sprinkling until about 8 a.m. And I got about an hour hike out of here, crossing a couple of basins. So all I got left is the tent, and I'm going to be slow hiking in the dark until sunrise, I guess. Life wouldn't be fun if it wasn't full of challenges. However, that mountain over there was clear as day when it started sprinkling, and I could see a cabin light, and now it's completely engulfed in clouds. So this is going to be a fun hike. I have a little headlamp for hats, except this hat's too droopy. It droops in my face, so I'm going to have to wear it on my shirt pocket or my backpack center strap, and then I got my headlamp. And that should be enough light to keep me from falling down a canyon and dying. And I also might have found the one use case scenario for Baofeng flashlights. They are good at illuminating your pack in case you do fall down and become unconscious or can't get back up. Or even if you just have to leave your pack behind, they're good for marking it. So I'm gonna throw this on. It's still 20 minutes, still sunrise, and start heading back. This first part of the trail I'm not very excited at all about because it's just straight downhill at one point. Just getting uphill, I would not have been able to get up the hill without poles. I was using the poles as grip because my boots weren't gripping the ground. It was like 45 degrees straight. Yeah. I made it to the first fork. It's coming out a lot harder, but fortunately I wore a warm weather moisture wick underneath, and I got my wool shirt on, so I'm actually still pretty toasty. Try not to move too fast, not to sweat, but the hardest part's done, and it's actually kind of enjoyable. It's like really misty and shit out here. Just so you get a view of what I'm dealing with. It really looks cool out here. I'm just not looking forward to drying everything out when I get home. I kicked up a whitetail or something. I don't know if that's it or not. I just caught in the corner of my eye something white fucking booking it up that hill. And I can't see it anymore. I think it might have bed down or it's hiding. Unless it's like a ram. I think there's white rams in some parts of Arizona. That would be a little scarier, but it was definitely running away from me. So I think it might have been a whitetail. Well, the rain's messing with my phone screen, so this might be one of the last clips. I made it to the second fork. My two biggest fears hiking in the rain or backpacking in the rain is having to pack up in a downpour. It's kind of downpouring now. And also basins like this. Luckily it's not running yet, but I should be back before even a stream starts. So I'm through the easy part almost all the way back. Just a recap. I made it over that ridge, that little ridge line. That's crazy when I think about it. Every time I go hiking, you look at where you're going and you're like, man, I don't think I can do that. And then when you're done, you're hiking back and you look back at where you were. It's rewarding. What's not rewarding is my repeater hasn't worked this whole time. I think one of the volumes might be all the way down because it gets the Roger beat but no voice. And I gotta hike up another hill to go retrieve it in the rain after packing up my bike. So yeah. Well, I only have 16 minutes of progress left if I need to start deleting the old ones. So that's it for this outing. I just have a very moist ride on the way home. Picked up the repeater already on the way back. Unfortunately, I think I've had the volume all the way down. It's still on. I didn't feel like opening it up out there. I just took the antennas off. So yeah, that's it.